Hello and welcome along to this rather special edition of Tony Stone's Chatroom podcast here on YouTube, because actually this week I am indeed joined by two guests, one of whom I know very well, Linah Rocio. Welcome, Linah.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. But also somebody that literally we've only met about 2 minutes before coming into the studio to do the podcast. Zophy
Ohr.
Zophy Ohr. Okay, now, I know, as I say, a little bit about Linah, then we'll come to Linah in a minute. So, Zophy Ohr, tell me who you are, what you do, where you come from, how you're here at the Rubix Drum Studios, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm originally from Peru. From South America.
Where are you from?
I'm from Chile.
Right, so we have a kind of a South American flavour to the podcast.
South America represents.
And this was, and I do have to say, this was purely coincidental. This was not planned in any way. How bizarre is that?
That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah. It's kind of nice to speak Spanish beforehand. It was like...
Which is the magic of London, I think, where you can come in and suddenly find connections in all different weird and wonderful ways. So, okay, you're from Peru.
Yeah, and actually that's one of the reasons why I decided to come to London, because I was doing music in Peru, but I thought it would be a good experience for me to develop my project here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I started doing music. I came for my studies, basically. Like, I did my bachelor's and then a master's here.
Uh-huh.
But in parallel, I was developing my own music because I'm a singer-songwriter as well.
Okay.
So that's what I've been doing, basically.
Okay, so tell us what's the difference then between your project and your singer-songwriter stuff?
Well, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing, okay.
Yeah. Because throughout the years, I did different projects, let's say, I think sometimes when you start to knowing yourself as a musician and as a songwriter, you start one way, but then throughout the years you learn more stuff and start developing your project in ways that you maybe didn't thought about before, kind of. So it's been kind of like a journey of like stages. And also my music kind of like changed a bit, not in genre, well, kind of like I've always done like poppy stuff.
Okay.
But definitely I can see that now I find I have my own sound, and that's what I did here, basically. I learned all that stuff, and I learned about myself here.
So how long have you been in London for?
Almost 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
And how did you come across the Rubix Studios?
Well, throughout a friend from uni.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I think here they have a lot of tools that are very useful for independent artists and musicians that want to do their own projects and need help with all the areas that involve making your project as an independent.
Cool. Right, well, Linah, we'll come to you now, I think.
Yeah.
Now, I've known you a lot longer than I've known Zophy Ohr.
Yeah.
About two years, 3 years, maybe,
2 years.
something like that, where you came and did a guest spot at the wonderful Pheasantry venue.
Yeah, exactly.
On the King's Road.
Yeah.
Now, that was then, and as we were saying before, you're originally from Chile.
Yeah.
But you've not based in England, though, have you, for the last few years?
No, I've been living in Zurich for the past few years.
Switzerland.
Yeah. Switzerland, yeah.
So, how do you find, first of all, the differences between Chile, Switzerland, and London and the UK in terms of music, or is it same
I
kind
didn't
of
really
all over?
grow up that long in Chile, so I can't really tell.
Okay.
And then we moved to Hong Kong for 4 years, and I was still a kid. And then we moved to Switzerland, so I just know the Swiss music scene.
Swiss music. Okay, well, tell us a little bit about the Swiss music scene.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know the scene from Baden is a town where I grew up with, which is near Zurich. And then I know a bit the scene of Zurich. And I basically started singing because of the jam sessions that were being held in Baden through friends of mine. And that's how I started singing. So it's actually quite a huge scene, actually, for such a small town.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how would you describe your music? Do you call yourself pop? Do you call yourself any specific genre, or are you beyond genre?
Actually, I struggle to find a genre because I don't know, it's hard to say what it is. I think it's singer-songwriting, definitely. And the last album, Warrior Talk, had a lot of jazz in it.
Cool.
A little bit indie elements. And it came out last year in the UK, actually, with Evelyn Records. It was the first time I got signed from a British label.
Terrific.
Yeah. And so now I'm recording, I'm still in the process of recording an EP, which is supposed to come out end of this year, maybe beginnings of next year.
And is that going to be jazzy based or more poppy?
It's actually, I don't know. I don't want to label it because I don't want to like put it in a box yet. It's like because it's not finished.
Okay, it has to be in the box anyway, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
it has to be in a box at some point. It's probably like it has elements of pop in it, I suppose, and a bit of electronic in a way, slightly, but not really. It's I don't know. I don't want to label it, but I did write a song actually for London.
Ah.
Yeah, it's I'm not gonna say it now because it's not out yet. But yeah.
Maybe give us a bit of an a cappella snippet later.
Oh no. Yeah.
Okay, now, obviously, when you've been in Peru as well, what for obviously us people that perhaps here in London or in Europe, not really knowing that much about what the current state of music is like in South America and in Peru particularly, can you perhaps explain a little bit more about the music scene over there?
Well, we have a lot of like varieties of music and genres in general in the country, and I guess that happens in South America in general. We are a very diverse like culture. And the thing is that we have genres, a lot of subgenres. The only thing I find is that we don't have, well, we have a music industry, but it's not developed.
Okay.
And it has to do a lot with the what happens with the country in a lot of different levels, you know, political, economically speaking, and education, etc. So you have a lot of like bands from a lot of range of genres, indie, pop, Latin pop. So you can find rock, metal, anything really, and they are really really good. The only problem I see at the moment is that it's taken like a long time to grow this music industry, or at least make it sustainable.
Do you think the internet has played a part in that? Has it helped it? Has it hindered?
It has definitely helped it.
It has.
Because I'll actually, from my own experience, in 2008, I had like an EP. I recorded. That was the first thing I recorded ever. It was I was actually not expecting anything. I knew very little about the like music industry or business. I just did an EP because I thought I was like I like music. I write. I need something to have to present, you know. And it was very different from what I'm doing now.
Okay.
But I couldn't find a way to move my music, or like I didn't know where to play or how to put it in radios or etc. So the only thing that I figured out to do was like to check opportunities online, and that's how I found contests from MTV Latin America, and I end up submitting my music and everything, and I end up being a finalist for that contest.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So it's kind of like ironic that in my own country I couldn't like move the music. However, there was this little platform. Well, it wasn't really, it's not a little, like there was this platform that helped me to actually put it somewhere, you know.
And sometimes it's true. People say that you have to maybe move away from your own country to get a bit more recognition, success and stuff. Have you found that to be, do you get more recognised outside of Switzerland? Do you call Switzerland home?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Although, I don't know. I think I'm kind of rootless a little bit because I moved so much when I was a child.
Sure.
So I don't really know what home is. But no, I call Switzerland home. Yeah, definitely, it helped a lot that I had that my music was distributed in the UK. It helped for Switzerland immensely, and I think that's why also because I got this grant where.
We're gonna talk about that in a bit more detail.
Well, it just helped tons. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So to get more recognition away. And I mean, can I ask you as well, both of you can perhaps answer this question, a bit more generally about the music industry rather than specifically sort of you two as such. But when you were first coming into the music industry, particularly what you were saying, you didn't know too much about it, Zophy Ohr and things. How have you found it now, all these years later, with being in the industry? Has it been what you expected it to be? Has it been very different to how you thought it might be?
I think, I don't know, like, you know, like when you're a kid, you have the dream, you know, like, oh yeah, I'll do my project, I'll like have a label or whatever. But that's not really what happens. You actually have to have like a coherent project, like something that's already like, not structured, I don't know if that's the word, but more like a concept that's well done already, and you will have to do it yourself at the beginning. It's more, I think, now people talk more about musicians as like entrepreneurs in a way.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, that's going to be my next question, funny enough. I mean, how much of an emphasis do you put on business? Because obviously it's show business, that music is a sub-genre of show business. How important do you think the business element is these days as an independent artist?
I don't know, like...
I think it's really important, the business, yeah.
You to be able to get, you know, all the financial stuff and all this kind of the logistics side of it, not just the kind of the writing and performing side.
I think you waste more time with that, actually. It's kind of a waste of time from my point of view. I'd rather just be writing songs.
I know what you mean.
It's a 24/7 thing, actually, in a way.
Because I think, I don't know if that happened, if this happened to you, but like when I was way younger, when I started, when people were like telling me, yeah, you have to do your music, but you also have to check, you know, your marketing or your things at the beginning, because of course you don't have like a label or anything behind you, you know, like for people to do it, you have to do it. And I was very like, no, I don't want to do it, or like, it's not my thing, I don't, you know. But then throughout the years, like you realize how important that it is. And I actually studied marketing when I was back in Peru, and I left it to do music. And after like years, I realized, you know what? Those little studies that I did, like those studies that I did, were actually kind of useful in a way. And it's very like, it goes together. If you're an independent artist at the beginning, you will have to do it. Yeah. And that involves like doing each area, you know, and of the business.
One quick question I like to always ask guests that come on the podcast. Yeah. Advice. If there's somebody watching out there in YouTube land or wherever it is that they're watching and they're thinking, oh, you know what, I might like to become a musician, an artist, a singer, what sort of advice would you give to any aspiring person wanting to come into the business? Linah.
Well, I would definitely tell that person, you know, go to where the scene is, like go to open mics, go to jams, try out, you know, get to know people. And then
we did that last night, actually, didn't we?
Yeah.
And met connections and stuff, which was weird.
Yeah, I think it's important that you kind of find out why you want to do it. I think if you want to do music because you just want to get famous, then it's not the right thing for you. I mean, there are people who do it that way, but I don't think that's the right way to do it. Because you're only going to get like this far maybe, and then that's it. You really have to do it. It has to come from here, from the heart. And then when it comes from the heart, I think things just start happening. You just need to get into the scene, I think, whatever scene there is. And if there is no scene, then you have to, I don't know, go find one, you know.
Create one.
Or create one, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think for the beginning, it's good to get to know other people who are doing the same thing so you can learn. So learning by doing thing, I think.
And Zophy Ohr?
I don't know. There are so many things that I learned by trial and error.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because at the beginning you might have an idea, or like you were saying, or like people might say, like, I just want to be famous, but that's not the whole point of making a career in music. I mean, I think one of the most important things that I learned were like, by jamming a lot and playing a lot, I kind of found myself, because like I found my sound, I had a clearer idea of who I was as an artist and maybe what I could add to what already exists, you know. And I think that's important to have clear.
Okay. Now I know, Linah, you play the piano and stuff. Do you play any other instruments or just the piano?
No, unfortunately not yet. I'd love to play.
You love to play
stuff,
So what instruments do you play?
I play guitar. I play a little bit of keys, but like very basic. But
Basic guitar.
yeah, but and a little bit of charango as well, cajon.
Oh,
Oh,
the
cool.
cajon.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
try to learn, like, for example, last time I went to Peru, I thought it was important sometimes to kind of like learn more about your roots. So I learned a bit of cajon, like more like the main rhythms of like Afro-Peruvian music, which I personally love.
And let's say, and of course, South America, the Latin scene and the bossa nova scene, does that come much into Peru or Chile, that style of music, the bossa nova?
Seriously don't know.
Don't
Scene
know?
of Chile. I've been
You
there,
don't know,
like-
okay. What about Peru?
Well, bossa nova, we have bossa nova, but like it's more like on the side of Brazil, you know. But we
Okay.
have, for us, it would be like more depends because we have so much diversity in terms of like for example, we have the coast, we have the countryside, we have the jungle. Like in any country of South America, it's like this. So that influences in the types of genres that are. So, for example, well, I can tell you about Afro-Peruvian music that I was telling you. You know, like that's really cool. We have like a lot of different subgenres. We have like festejo and other different. And it has like a lot of like influence from, from the Africans like went to Peru way back. You know, we are like a very mixed country we have had like a lot of influence from everywhere really.
Okay, so you mentioned the word influence there. Let me ask you your own personal influences. Who would you say influenced you perhaps growing up as a child that you used to listen to, or even now as adults that perhaps inspire you to write your music now? Linah?
Oh, wow. I actually started singing because of the movie Color Purple.
Oh, really?
Really? Yeah, because of the character Shook Avery. And I was like, teenager and was like, oh, I want to be like her. And then I started.
Okay.
I started dreaming about it, And then I started singing blues and I took classes in classical singing and jazz. And blues festivals. I was jamming there and stuff like that.
Okay.
But then later on, I had different bands. I did lots of stuff. I did funk, I did rock, I did electro pop. I experimented with lots of bands. And then at some point, I didn't have a band. And I was desperate to get it out because like music is like my way of, letting go of stuff and releasing things that I don't want to feel or whatever's bothering me. And then I just started playing the piano. I was just pressing keys, and I was like, oh, this sounds cool, and I started taking classes, and then I always, in the back of my head, it was like, oh, someone else is going to play for me, because, I suck, I was like, I can't do this, And then my friends told me, no, you totally have to, you have to give a concert, it's really good, and I'm like, yeah, you're my friends, that's why you're telling me that. And they're like, no, it's really good. And then I gave my first concert, and I nearly died because my hands were shaking. I was like, ugh. And that's how I got into writing my own songs with the piano. Before I just wrote songs to the music that someone else was doing. And so, for me, actually, playing the piano and singing is kind of like a way to release. Actually.
Do you find it therapy, therapeutic?
Totally, yeah, it's therapy. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
self-therapy.
Do you find?
For sure, definitely. It's kind of similar. Like I started as a way of like just like releasing things, and since I was little, I always it's kind of funny because I didn't actually started singing. I started writing.
Writing
Yeah.
first?
When I was little,
Yeah.
like very little, like at 7.
Wow.
Yeah, like writing little poems or things like that. And then I started to add kind of like, I remember just being in my room like bored and just like writing put melody to the whatever I was writing or like and story that I was like
Okay,
thinking
so
about.
let me ask you another question as well. Do you find it's the melody that is the important part of a song, or the words are the important part of the song, or do they both count equal?
I think it counts equal.
They count equal, right?
It counts equal,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Because even if let's say you have like, it depends on the genre and the type of songs, but like even if the music side is not extremely present and is more present, let's say like the lyrical part, there's a reason for that. They are both complementing each other. So it's not, you know what I mean? Like it's not that one is less and the other one is more. It's just that they are complementing each other.
Okay. And do you write the lyrics first, or do you write the melody first? Or do you...
Me?
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of hard. Well, with the piano, I think I first kind of sit on the piano and then I just start, improvising stuff. And then suddenly I think, I think there's a song coming out, and I press record. And then I improvise the song, and I give it a couple of goes. And then maybe I think, I think this is the take. And then I take that take. I write out the lyrics that I was improvising, and from then I start writing.
Okay.
That's how I write. Except the spoken word stuff that I did. That was different. There I had the music first, and then I wrote the lyrics.
Okay, and what about Zophy Ohr?
I do both, and also like throughout the years, you'll kind of like try different things or ways of making music.
Okay.
So that also influences. Like, so I literally don't have like a stick plan on how to write.
Okay. Right, now, one other thing I always like to get into the podcast as well is that there might be people out there going, oh, wow, I'd like to check out Linah more, I'd like to check out Zophy Ohr more. So, where, how, what's the best places for them to go and find out more about you guys? Linah?
Mine is www.linahrocio.com. You write Linah with LINAHROCIO.com.
Cool. And you're on Facebook and...
I'm on that's my webpage, and there's Facebook on it, Instagram, Twitter, everyth's on there.
Great. And Zophy Ohr?
Yeah, I'm in social media with Zophy Ohr, but it's spelled a little bit weird. It's like ZOPHY, and Ohr is OHR.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Cool. And now, you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier in the podcast why you're here in London.
Yeah.
Because you're now here residing in
Yes.
London for 6 months
Yes.
on a bursary.
You call it bursary?
We call it bursary.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about why, how did that happen? And
Yeah. Actually, where should I start? It comes from an organization called Aargau Curatorium, which is an organization that supports artists who do, how they say, outstanding work, or where the art is like exceptional, like it's not commercial. That's like kind of thing. And they give artists residencies to artists in different countries, like Paris, London, New York. I think they once had Berlin. And they also reimburse artists if they're starting a new project, like for example, they want to record, or also for dancers or actors. It's like really widespread. And a friend of mine who actually recorded on my first album, All About Secrets, Sylvan, he plays the trumpet, and he said, he was in London. He was having this artist residency, and he said, you should totally apply for it. And I'm like, no, I don't think I'm going to get it. And he was like, no, yeah, you might get it. You really should apply for it. And then I was like, so when is it? And he was like, well, today's Saturday. I think Tuesday's deadline. I'm like, oh, my God. And then, so I just wrote, everything, what I've done up to now, what I've been doing in Switzerland in general, because they want to know what kind of, what did you bring for, how do you say, what have you done until now? And I had to write down what I want to do in London. And back then I didn't know that I was going to record an EP, so I was like, I just want to, write songs. I want to learn my instrument better, maybe other instruments if possible. I want to meet people. I want to give concerts. I want to connect. I want to, I want to write. I want to write, basically.
okay, cool.
And then I got it, and I was like, I was so shocked, I started crying.
So the next question, which I suppose I should ask, is that's fantastic and huge congratulations, but what was the appeal of London to do the bursary here in London?
Well, actually, because I know people here in London, and my label, Evelyn Records, is here in London, and they released my last album here, 2017. And the reason I'm doing an EP is because I'm hoping they might release my EP as well.
Okay.
Otherwise, maybe someone else, I don't know. And so it was kind of like obvious that I would want to come to London. Besides, I also think the audiences here in London are like super great. I love playing in London. It's like a different reaction than any other place.
Do you find that as well, Sophie, with London audiences? How do you get on with London audiences?
They're very receptive, and I love how receptive they are with like music from any genre, like Latin pop, like Latin music as well. Like sometimes it's kind of funny because I have my set, and actually I started to write in English because I was here and I wanted to improve my like English writing as well. And the songs that I sing in Spanish, everybody's kind of like following, like dancing and everything. So you kind of see like actually language is not really a barrier for music either. So that's one of the things that I love, that you can really do anything in terms of music here. There's not really like a limit. Really.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we're going to kind of roughly wind down the podcast for this particular edition. But before I do, any regrets? Any regrets about career, about being in music, being an artist, or are you totally happy with everything? I suppose it's kind of like following on from the advice question, really, that I asked you earlier. But do you have any regrets?
Actually, no, I don't.
You
I
don't?
used to have regrets, I suppose, but not completely not. I think right now I'm in a place where I always wanted to be, so it's like, yeah.
Positive.
Positive, yeah.
Zophy Ohr?
I mean, at some point I was like, yeah, I have. But then you think about it, and it's true. Like, I think everything takes you to the person that you are today. So it's a learning experience. So I'll say like, the things I've learned from that, it's probably like to follow more like your intuition, your gut. You know, I wish I followed my intuition, or like I was like I should do this, and I wait long to do it. I should have done it. Just like done it. You know, just like to.
If you could go back to your 7-year-old self who was writing all those poems, would you give them any advice? Would you give her any advice? Or would you say change anything that you're going to do? Or would you stick to the plan that you did?
What I was saying, like, just like follow your gut. If you know what you want to do, and just follow it. Like, if you want to do music, do it. Like, from now. It doesn't matter if you don't have support. It doesn't matter if everything is against you. Like, things come up, you know, with effort and hard work, pays off always, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's a journey.
And you second that?
Yeah, totally. I think you should totally follow, like she said, your guts or your heart. Because I had a lot of people in the beginning saying you're crazy, you know, what you do in real life, like, what else do you do? And I'm like, you know, I think you should, no, I think you really, if you really want to write songs and you want to sing and you want to do something creative and you feel it here, then you should just do it.
Cool. Thank you so much, ladies. It's been a real pleasure having you on the podcast for this week, particularly Linah, who I've known many years. And thank you so much. And I gather Spencer, who runs this place, kind of volunteered you for being on the...
I was like, I'm not ready. But it's fine. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And that is, unfortunately, the end of this particular edition of Tony Stone's Chatroom podcast. Please don't forget to go and visit YouTube channel, where you can see previous podcasts as well, with some fantastic guests that we've already had. Keep your eyes peeled here, because we've got some great guests coming up for you over the next month or so that we've got lined up. One particular, I can't really say who it is. I mean, given the no-no by our producer there behind the camera saying I can't say who it is, but I'm really excited that's going to be happening. So please tune in here from time to time and you'll see it. So this has been the Tony Stone YouTube Chatroom podcast for this particular edition. From everyone here at the Rubix Drum Studios and yours truly, Tony Stone, and my two special guests. Thanks very much for tuning in, and happy chatting.